It's no secret that having too much body fat could be bad for your health. You probably focus on how much you have, but another aspect worth paying attention to is fat distribution, or where you have it. Turns out, there are certain places where having excess fat could be problematic. And there are other places where it might not be that big of a deal. How can you tell the difference? Here's what you should know about fat distribution and what it can tell you about your health. Plus, here's how you can achieve a better balance. Number 1. Where your fat is located isn't totally in your control, especially as you get older. You have plenty of say over your total amount of body fat. As for where that fat tends to show up, that can be a little harder to manage. Most people tend to accumulate fat either in their midsection or in their hips and thighs. But your genes, sex, age, and hormones could affect how much fat you have and where it goes. What determines fat allocation? Your genes. Nearly 50% of fat distribution may be determined by genetics, estimates a 2017 study. If most of the people in your family have rounder bellies or fuller hips, there's a good chance you'll follow suit. Your sex. Healthy body fat levels for males range from 6 to 24%, but for females, it's between 14 and 31%, notes the American Council on Exercise. Your age. Older adults tend to have higher levels of body fat overall, thanks to factors like a slowing metabolism and gradual loss of muscle tissue. Your hormone levels. Weight and hormones are commonly linked, even more so in your 40s. This is due to the natural decline of hormones like testosterone in men and estrogen in women. Number 2. But there's more than one type of body fat to pay attention to. Believe it or not, there are 3. Not only does each one have a different function, they're all located in different parts of your body. Here's a breakdown of what these fat types are. Subcutaneous fat sits on top of your muscle, right underneath your skin. It's the kind you can poke or pinch, often around your butt, hips, or thighs. This makes up about 90% of our fat stores. Visceral fat sits deep inside the abdominal cavity. It surrounds vital organs like the liver, intestines, and heart. Unlike subcutaneous fat, you can't touch or feel it. But it can pose serious health risks. Brown fat is a special type of fat that actually helps the body burn extra calories to stay warm. Babies have a lot of brown fat, but adults have small amounts too, mostly around the shoulder and chest areas. Number 3. Subcutaneous, the pinchable kind, actually has some important benefits. Subcutaneous fat is basically stored energy. Small amounts of it can be more helpful than you think. It pumps out hormones like leptin, which signal to the brain that you're full and don't need to keep eating. It also makes adiponectin, an anti-inflammatory hormone that plays a role in maintaining healthy blood sugar levels. In other words, resist that urge to judge your jiggle. It can be a good thing. Number 4. Too much visceral fat can be dangerous. Because it's stored around your vital organs, visceral fat can make its way into your liver. From there, it's turned into cholesterol, which travels into the bloodstream and clogs up arteries. Visceral fat is also thought to signal the release of inflammatory chemicals and contribute to insulin resistance. Excess visceral fat can increase risk of heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, stroke, certain cancers, including breast and colon cancer. Number 5. BMI isn't always the best predictor of healthy body fat levels. You're more likely to have too much visceral fat if your body mass index, BMI, falls in the overweight, 25 to 29.9, or obese, 30 or above, category. But you shouldn't rely on BMI alone to tell you whether your body fat falls in the healthy range. Research shows that 22% of men and 8% of women who are considered normal weight actually have too much visceral fat. The opposite can also be true. Around 22% of men and 10% of women with obesity have levels of visceral fat that fall within the normal range. Number 6. Your lifestyle factors can affect how much visceral fat builds up. Your body doesn't have all the say over where your fat tends to live. Certain lifestyle factors also play a role. Here are 3 common habits that cause visceral fat to build up. Eating too much junk food. These foods have the ability to be absorbed quickly into the bloodstream, triggering a spike in insulin, which acts as a fat deposit hormone. Being sedentary. The more time you spend sitting, the greater your waist circumference is likely to be. Letting stress get out of control. Over time, chronic stress prompts the body to pack on excess visceral fat. Number 7. 6 ways to achieve healthier fat distribution. You might not have complete control over where your body prefers to store fat. Still, that doesn't mean there aren't steps you can take to keep excess fat from ending up in potentially harmful places, like deep in your belly. 6 tips for healthy fat distribution. Choose complex carbs and protein over the sugary stuff. They digest at a slower rate, so your insulin levels stay steady instead of spiking and prompting your body to store extra belly fat. Go for healthier dietary fats. Polyunsaturated fats like walnuts, salmon, and flax seeds are an especially good bet, especially when you swap them in for saturated fats. Exercise and try to up the intensity. Get the most bang for your buck by breaking a sweat. Strength training helps increase muscle mass, which in turn reduces body fat. Try to keep your stress in check. Taming the tension keeps your system from constantly getting flooded with cortisol. Get enough sleep. In one 6-year study, participants who normally slept for 5 hours showed a 32% increase in visceral fat. Limit your booze intake. Flooding your system with excessive amounts of alcohol in one sitting means more of the calories could get stored as visceral fat. Don't try all these steps at once if it seems overwhelming. Enjoying the baby steps and building lifelong habits is more effective and healthier for yourself. If anything, remember this key tip: watch your portions overall. When you eat too much of any food, even healthy ones, the extra calories your body doesn't need get stored as fat. There you have it. Please leave a thumbs up and subscribe.